Good day, dear friends. This is our Sunday webinar, as usual, with Dr. Michael Laitman, Pavel, Simeon Vinokur, and we're talking about souls, heart-to-heart on the soul, about the soul. We have a lot of connections, translating to 22 languages. Please ask questions. For the start, we can ask a question. A soul is a small part of the Creator or something else? A very specific question. Rav. It depends on who receives what, a small piece or a large piece. But it's a part of the Creator from above. What is this piece of the Creator? It depends whether you have a small place to receive it or a large place to receive it. So it depends on whether I prepare the space. Rav. So let's write this down. The first is the existence of the light. Light is a quality of bestowal and love. Or call it the Creator. The only thing that it created was a point inside of itself called a desire to receive, and opposite to itself in quality. This is its action, is called the creature, something out of nothing. The only thing that's created is a desire to receive by the desire to bestow. These two desires, they exist. And henceforth, the desire to receive, which was born under the influence of the light, opposite to it, it continues to develop more and more and more and more. This development of this desire comes to the point of the 4 stages of the development of light, and then it brings to the worlds, and then the creation of 5 worlds, and inside of those 5 worlds there is created even more internal parts of this created desire, which is called soul. The difference between all of the parts of the creation is in the fact that in their development, as in our world, the different development attracts different forms of the creature and different forms of the internal structures as well. So the most internal, the most difficult structure of the creature is called Adam, and this structure, based on its state, is similar to the Creator. With what? Because inside it's made from a desire to receive, but the form of this desire, the way it positions itself in relation to everything else, it's similar to the desire to bestow. How is this possible? It's possible very simply in relation to the Creator. Since the Creator, I'll even draw for you, so this would be even simpler. Since the Creator is a giver, it wishes only to bestow. Desire created by Him is a desire to receive.
Согласно своему желанию, тогда оно называется эгоистическое, эго. А если это желание получает от Творца. Получает от Творца. Не для того, чтобы получать,
receives from the Creator,
а для того, чтобы
not because of its own accord, but
насладить Творца, который желает.
to fulfill the Creator that desires to fulfill her. This desire builds upon itself, a certain intention
Готовы получать,
that I am ready to receive, but only because you want this. So here we have a desire to receive.
а вот здесь есть у нас намерение отдавать.
And here we have an intention to bestow.
Получается, что в таком случае, если
It turns out that in this case, even if a desire is filled with light, it's filled with light,
но оно как
but
наполняется не светом,
it's filled
оно
not really by the light. It receives the light from the Creator, but it receives it inside of its this intention to bestow. In other words, it receives in this reception of the light a certain connection with the Creator and bestowal to Him. And this desire becomes different. This desire to receive with intention to bestow
называется
is called soul. That's it. So, host. So only that moment when we will attain a state when I am a receiver, but I receive for the sake of bestowal. This is called that I have attained the soul. Yes? Rav, yes.
практически чем отличается
So practically, how this quality of reception different
только лишь
when we say there's no soul from the point of having a soul? It's this desire to bestow, intention to bestow, that envelops this desire to receive. It transforms a person from an animal in our world to a spiritual one in the spiritual world. Host. So you're saying that only through this crossing of this spiritual barrier called Maxom, a person attains a soul. So you're saying in this world a person does not have a soul, right? Rav, not in this world. If from people in this world, they can have a soul and they may not have a soul. If a person works on himself and attains this quality of love and bestow, desire to bestow, then in the measure of this intention, he has a soul. He feels the Creator. The Creator fills him. He connects with the Creator. If the Creator fulfills him, that's the measure that he connects with him, and in that measure, he has this intention to bestow. Host, but this intention to bestow, he will have only. The intention to bestow is characterized by the exit into the upper world. So that's one and the same thing. Question. The development of the soul is development of the desire to receive the light of the Creator. Can we say this? Development of the soul, development of the desire to receive the light of the Creator. Yes. Because the Creator only bestows. We can only receive. So receiving. For the sake of bestowal, we transform our reception into bestowal. And in that way, our quality of reception, together with intention to bestow, is called a soul. Yes, there's another question. What kind of types of souls exist? How is this level or type of the soul is determined? Rav, I'll explain this in the next drawing. So, there exists a certain division from 0 to 125th degree. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 worlds. Asiya, Briya. Asiya, Bria, Yetzirah, Bria, Adam Kadmon, and then the world of Ein Som. 125 degrees, 5 times 5 in each world. And 5 worlds. 5 worlds, 125. 25 degrees in each world and 125 degrees total. This is the... we're just stating facts here. What was the question? How does a soul change? What determines the type of the soul and what types of soul are there? So the degree of the soul is determined like this. This is my 0th degree. Then 1, 2, 3, and here is a 125th degree, a 25th level of my desire, and then here, and here's my 50th level of my soul, and then up until 75th, and then to the 100th degree and 125th degree. 125 degrees are the degrees of my desire. This is a force. Force of my desire. If on this, let's say I'm in a certain place here, this is the strength of my desire. I have a desire, a particular desire with a particular strength. If I'm on this desire, if I can create an intention, a certain intention inside, then into this intention enters the light of the Creator, and altogether this light of the Creator that fills me, and desire and intention, all of this together, all of these 3 things will be called a soul. Then what else she wants to ask? The types of souls. The spiritual, the animate, inanimate. Rav, these are certain gradations that have no relationship to us. It's not that the animal soul sits inside the animal and the human sits inside of the human. What this means is that every desire, I'll draw it for you, every desire is made up of 5 parts: inanimate, vegetative, animate, human, and universal. Universal. Depending on the degree. 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm sorry that I'm writing it like this. On this board, it's slippery, it's very difficult to write on it. So, we say his soul has possessed the animal. It's simply a degree of a desire, nothing more. I have, let's say, a desire to eat something with a certain amplitude and eat something else with a different amplitude. These are just definitions. There are no attributes, no connection to our world that exist here. All of this is very simple. Everything is very precise. It's broken down into forces, energies, and so on and so forth. It seemed to somebody something very simple, but a result, we see that this is an entire science. But when people talk about the soul, they think it's simple. When you talk about a good person, a nice person, or not a nice person, in order to enter a degree when you begin to feel that you have a soul, for that, you need to work for a few years, a few good years. It's not simple, but it's something that can be done. The one who wants it will attain it. Igor from Kishinev asks, soul is always come from the point of view of good or evil? Rav, there's no evil in the souls, and even those forces that we see in our world as evil and terrible, these are forces that exist only to help us in development. There are no good souls or bad souls. It's only written this way. It's written about action, one in relation to another, but the soul is always similar to the Creator. Question about the goodness in this world. When a person shows it, does it relate it to the goodness of the soul? It's not related, Rav. It's not related to goodness or evil. It's simply our earthly ego. Host, it's not simple for a person to understand this. Rav, if we want to figure something out, we need to reject all our previous understanding and start from scratch. It's in any science like this. If I have a certain opinion that's related to something that I don't know and I want to learn, then I need to know myself and start from scratch. We'll ask these questions. Can a person be depressed if everything is okay with his soul, but he's unable to get up from his bed? Rav, this can happen with a person that is advancing. I can understand you. I don't have this happening to me anymore, but I had states, of course. How can this happen? At which point does this happen? What relationship does this have to a developing soul? Rav, I don't mean states that a regular person goes through. I'm talking about a person studying the method of Kabbalah and desires to properly practice it before the crossing of the Mahsom. He has such states when he's unable to get up from his bed. Then another question, how does a person overcome these states? Let's not leave them without an answer. Rav, there are states that you are unable to overcome. You simply cannot. You cannot. One cannot lift himself above himself. There's nothing bad about this. A person needs to feel what he's capable of and what he's not capable of. How nature can treat him, how Creator can give him blows, can shake him, and there's nothing he can do about it. But this is good. This gives one certain correct definition what he is and where he is. So let's finish this. So how did you wake up today? How did you wake up in general? Rav, so a certain time has passed and I got up. In different states that I was in, my friends came for me, and there are states when I came for them. So there needs to be a certain agreement with the friends. If I'm lying down and can't get up, Rav, yes, there needs to be an agreement, a covenant. This is what's called the mutual guarantee. It's given from above in order to give you an opportunity to lie around and to give them an opportunity to come for you. Question from Victoria. Which characteristics does the soul have? Is the egoism a characteristic of the soul, the quality of this person? What is it? Rav, a characteristic of the soul is only love and bestow. but different qualities of a person's character, do they have any relationship to the soul? Rav, no, they don't. A soul is but a quality of bestowal and love, not having any relationship to love and bestowal that we see in this world. Paul loves Mary, or Mary loves Paul. It's not that kind of love. Or, Bill gives a present to Katie from his entire soul. It's not that soul, and it's not that kind of present. Yuri is asking, how come a mistress becomes closer than a wife? Rough. Kabbalah doesn't write about this. Somehow Kabbalists have gone around this topic. Question from Riga. How can it be so that, how is it possible that the most important, the most leading soul does not influence the earthly level? Rav, it does influence, but it influences in such a way that these lower souls do not feel it, but it does participate in their development. Of course. Go on. Question from Isk. The physical body of a person is a part of the creation. If a person learns how to live according to commandments, then his physical body will become immortal? Rav, the physical body has no relationship to this. It's not a part of the creation and doesn't have any relation to the soul. You can do with your physical body whatever you want. A soul develops according to its certain laws. This world, what we mean by it, this world is the egoism, but not our body and what we perceive with our five senses. It's the animal, and there's nothing in Kabbalah that's written about it. The very popular question: how come a soul does not remember experiences from their past lives? Ralph, we'll drop this question, but I could say that it's very good that we don't remember anything. Leonid, question from Leonid. What helps my soul develop the most? What is its food? Food for the soul is the upper light that you can attract to yourself in the measure that you unite with your friends in the group above your ego. Since the question has arose about past lives, there's another question. A person, Baal HaSulam wrote that a person is born in this world in order to reveal for himself the upper world. Then he exists in both worlds, and then after the death of the physical body, after death of his body, the body perceived the spiritual world in such extent he attained in during his life in the body. If a person does not reach the upper world during his existence in this world, his soul comes down to this world again and clothes to a biological body exactly for this purpose. A soul can reveal the upper world only when it clothes the body. If a person does not reach the upper world during his existence in this world, his soul comes down to this world again and clothes to a biological body exactly for this purpose. Can you please talk about this? That was a quote from Baal HaSulam. Rav, I'll repeat once again. What we're dealing here is with a desire. It's a desire of this world, this egoistic desire. If it's an egoistic desire of the upper world, then this desire is called klipa, a sitra achra, for example. It's opposite to a corrected desire of the soul, and that's why a person exists in these opposite spiritual states. A reincarnation of the soul, what it means is when a desire changes. Let's say I had a desire worth 10 pounds of the ego, and then I have performed, I was able to strict myself, I was able to work, I had a soul, a desire together with an intention. is called a soul, a finished kli. Then my desire has grown from, let's say, 10 pounds to 15 pounds. I started to work with it. Initially, I fell into the negative of these 15 pounds, and the entire upper world has disappeared from me. I have fallen into the abyss of this world, as it says, started working on my new desire, the minus 15 pounds. I elevated myself in connection with my friends towards plus 15 pounds. And in relation to that, I started receiving the upper light in the next degree. If the previous light was called nefesh, now the light is called ruach. This is called that I have acquired a new soul. This transition from the old state into the new state is called the reincarnation of the soul. How many reincarnations can there be of the soul? Rav, 125 according to our diagram. So this advancement, according to the degrees, I'm constantly added an ego. From in transition from degree to degree, you fall down and then you go up. Must I feel this descent, this addition? Rav, this descent, you must not only feel, but you need to be in it. You need to feel it. You have to perceive it as something that you've been dipped into. Is this called death? Rav, this is called spiritual death, yes. Between every ascent, there's a spiritual death when the light exits you and you fall into the regular ego. What is this called? The resurrection of the dead? So this is my ascent from this descent? Rav, yes. And every time it exists in these microdoses in relation to your degree. So let's say we constantly have this renewal of the souls, this constant, at every degree we have this resurrection of the dead, renewal of the souls, all the time. Question about the birth of the soul. Does this happen once, or every degree is considered the birth of the soul? Rav, every degree is repeated. Repeats in a small way this entire letter. Does the birth of the soul accompanied by physical discomfort? Rav, there are a lot of physical states. I would say the more you advance forward, the less discomforting it becomes. You get used to it. You begin to, ahead of time, see which actions will occur with you as a result of your experience. And then you can move forward, knowing that there will be a descent, the lights will go off, and you fall down as if an elevator that is falling down through all these degrees that you have ascended to. You fall through them back down, and gradually you come to your senses. Initially you don't understand where you are. All of the connections that you've had, they're broken. All of the perceptions that you've had of the world, they disappear. All you're left with is with perception of this world that's before you, and you don't even understand who these people are, what are they doing here in this state, the way you observe them, and then you begin to climb back up again through the group, through connection to the group, more and more and more. But these extreme states, I would say they're very, very amazing. They may even seem threatening, but in reality, there's nothing scary or threatening that there exists. On the opposite, you feel a huge force of life, nature, the creator, and you yourself as a collaborator. But when you're in this world, and when you're looking at people in this world, you look at them with pity. because they have such opportunity to be filled with the creation from its beginning to end, but all they do is they are busy with something small, insignificant. We need to do everything that we can to help them. Helping them, you help yourself, and vice versa. We're asking you questions, and these questions about the soul, there are many of them. So go quick. Ludmila is asking, a person can die. He can be murdered, drowned. Does the moment of the death, the type of death reflected in one's soul? Rav, no, because he did not have a soul. Because he was only advancing on the level of this world. What matters is when he will begin his spiritual ascent, how he can shorten this life. How many physical deaths is needed for a soul to go through its path from considering the average lifespan? Rav, if you are now in a state that you're writing about, then during this entire life that you have, you can finish your correction. How long does a person need is hard to predict because it depends on the general state of the world, how other souls are interconnected. It's a very difficult system, and I don't want to talk about it now. But I'll say this, all of you sitting before me now, who I see, all of you, St. Petersburg, Rostov, Riga, Krasnoyarsk, Vilnius, Mach 09, Moscow, Peter, all of these who are sitting before me, and in general, everybody who has a connection with us, you have an opportunity in this world, regarding which age you're at, you have an opportunity not only to start your spiritual path, but also to finish it. Absolutely, because time in this advancement has no significance. All you need to have is boldness and consistency. But what if someone didn't have enough time for this? What to do, Ralph? What do you mean? You'll still be in this path. Life will shake and continue to shake you until you once again appear in a spiritual group with our books, method of advancement. So let's say a person attains a certain level called the soul. Then later he starts back from this level. No. A soul is a good spiritual level. Before it, the levels of advancement are small. After the soul, the levels of advancement are, a soul is, let's say, like a 40-year-old degree compared to a 40-year-old development of a human being. 40 years old is called a level of the soul. Until 40 years old, a person is developing, he feels he's still growing, he's still overcoming, he's still developing. After 40 years old, one begins his gradual advancement towards wisdom. And let's say after 50 years old, he begins his gradual decline, and then at 60 he attains his full measure of his life, and then after that his life begins to end. I'm talking about definitions in Kabbalah. If this is a breakdown, a Kabbalistic breakdown of Kabbalistic degrees. 40 is the level of Binah. Question from Sophia, please tell me, is there in the universe such a planet where Adam was created and essential Adam soul that has never been broken and exists in perfection? Rav,
Вы
I'll
не
tell you one thing.
встретите такую жизнь, как на Земле.
Nowhere aside from Earth you will find life that we have on Earth. Good, bad, doesn't matter. But that kind of life that has continuation in the upper world, it does not exist. In this, our planet is unique.
Вопрос из Ютуба.
Question from YouTube.
Существует ли понятие родственных душ, как у вас?
Is there a definition of souls that are related to one another, like you have with Rabash?
Находятся близко
Rav, these are souls that are close to one another according to spiritual system,
зависимы друг от друга.
which
Есть такие души,
feed one another,
каждый свое
depend
общество,
on one
своя
another.
среда.
Yes, there are souls like this.
Как
They
правило,
have their own
мы с вами относимся
environment
к какому-то
of sorts. We
идентичному типу душ.
relate to a certain similar type of souls. As you see, we are together in one
Так что
path forward, men and women. So let's consider ourselves relatives.
Как можно ощутить в этом мире, что
Question:
моя душа
how can we feel in this world that my soul is advancing and growing through relationship with other people? Or Rav, the confirmation that your soul is growing is if you get closer to your ten. This relates to the men and women? Rav, yes, to men and women. You need to understand that in the spiritual advancement, there's no difference between men and women. There's no difference. Naturally, it's different type of work, physical in the group, but a calculation is based according to opportunities to get to unite in the group or not. The more you connect with one another, that is called your spiritual kli. Another question. Does a genius have a root of the soul? What kind of root of the soul does a genius have? Tesla, Shakespeare, Mozart, they both had a very similar worldview. Rav, yes, this is natural, but they did not relate to the spiritual. The way he was born, that's the way he was. It's just increased senses, increased memory, increased opportunity in exploring and realization of certain ideas, but it's not spiritual. These are not spiritual qualities. I'll tell you more, that I'm confident if Einstein would appear in our group, then he would visit a few of our lessons and would go about his life, because it's not his. Same with musicians. Kabbalah, by the way, it's for people who in our world are doing very basic, simple things. People who are in our world are not very unique. For this, you don't need any special physical or brainy capabilities. Question: what laws does a soul have? Rav, laws of the upper world, qualities of bestow, depending on the screen, on the aviyut, and the reshimot, everything that we learn in Kabbalah. These are laws of the development of the soul. As a question from woman. So the reincarnation of the souls is for men, but what about women? Yes, unfortunate women, they don't have a soul and they just burn out their entire life. Who says this? Who's saying this? Tatiana from Samara. Maybe that's what they feel in Samara. Please, listen to me. Let's not ask such questions once and for all. In a few hours, I'm going to have a lesson for women here in the center, and you'll see. Before me, there will be thousands of women, at least, not burnt-out women, not unfortunate women, who are obstinate in attaining the goals in life, and they can spit on those men around them. They take the Creator into their hands and they attain Him. These are women. So, there's no difference between men and women. I'll tell you more. If a woman can overcome her ego and unite with other women in mutual support, they can overcome, overtake any man in their spiritual advancement.
Я бы сказал по-другому даже. Творец любит женщин.
I'll tell you more. Creator loves women more than men.
Съезжаются все женщины с Израиля, это женский урок раз в месяц у нас.
I should say that this lesson that we have once a month, we leave this building, the men leave this building, and it's occupied by women only. Another question, from the point of view of ripening of the soul, is it possible that in this current incarnation of the soul, there are souls that can be taken away for a new birth, for a rebirth? Raf, what you're saying does have a place. Can we say that Adam and Eve is one construction, and after the... It's a question. How can I understand my purpose if my entire life is lived without a purpose? Raf, that's how it is for most people until a certain point when something has hit them, when a certain point of connection with the Creator has appeared in them, when they start asking questions, why and what, and so on and so forth. Nothing is in vain. You have to have gone through these states. Everything occurs under the influence of the upper light. From the moment when you were awakened towards this advancement to the Creator, from this point on, you advance. And it doesn't matter what your age is and your situation, you can advance. Maybe you've heard something, you read something. I assure you that if you fill your life with your opportunities to be in connection with us and through us with a connection to the Creator, then everything will work out. I promise you. Question: how does religion influence development of the soul? Rav, religion has nothing to do with development of the soul, so please calm down and study Kabbalah. What? Question: based on what depends harmony and calmness of the soul? Rav, that's not a good state. Harmony and calmness? Maybe that's what we're aspiring to, but when it really does occur within a person that is already directed towards the goal of creation, this calmness evokes a feeling of repulsion towards the state. He cannot handle it, actually. So let's not think about being calm. It's good maybe when you feel really bad. That's when you think about it. Maybe I'll just calm down and everything will be fine. I want to forget everything and stop existing. There are different kind of states. But let's not aspire towards calmness, but a correct advancement towards the goal that's renewed all the time, that gives you new sensations, new fulfillments. Aspire towards that. I wanted to ask, the Creator is in constant peace, right? What peace are we talking about? The upper light is in constant peace, rest. It's the rest that we're talking about is that the Creator does not change. It relates to everybody with complete love all the time. That's called peace. This is a movement that does not change is also called rest. When a certain thing is in constant type of movement, it's also called rest, meaning that there's no force that acts upon it that tries to stop it and change it. Same thing here. We are always trying to change, to advance forward, to fill ourselves, to accelerate, to increase our acceleration, and that's why we don't need rest. In Kabbalah, advancement without acceleration is not considered advancement. So you can continue coming to the lessons on and so forth from year to year. It won't be considered advancement. You need to aspire towards accelerating yourself. Question: so what happens with the body when the body dies? Rav, what body? We don't know anything about body. You're saying, when the soul dies, what comes from the body? No, my dear. In Kabbalah, body means a desire. When out of this body comes the light, exits this body, then the body dies. What does it mean? It means that it only becomes a receiving body, and the receiving body is considered a dead body or a dead desire. But death that you are talking about does not exist. It does not exist at all.
Вопрос такой, Андрей из Авдеевки. Если человек родился и живет мужчиной,
if a person was born and feels himself a man, feels himself a woman, can it be a female soul within a man's body? Soul does not have a gender. It doesn't matter if you have these certain preferences in our world, but each soul has a root, and it needs to return to its root filled with light. Continue. You may continue. Do I feel correctly when I acquire soul, feeling the upper force in this life, I can continue ascending into the upper world and begin to lift the entire humanity, and this is the point of Kabbalah? Rav, yes, that is it. I congratulate you on thinking this. Question. I have a question. Rav Laitman, please, can you not leave this earth for the sake of your students until they become connected into this one soul of Adam? Rav, we are all connected anyways. When it's necessary, I'll disappear, and when it's necessary, I'll return, I'll reappear. Question from Russia. If a person has not acquired a soul in this world, then he lost a chance, and the next chance will appear only for another person until a person's lifted into the spiritual world and sees the chain of his corrections. Rav, the problem is you're comparing yourself to this physical body, but the thing is, it does not exist. It exists only in your sensations. So you're talking as if what will happen with my body, with my meat, with these bones. In reality, this all does not exist. This is a sensation is given to you now so that you would somehow feel and define yourself, but not more than that. Ludmila from Kiev is asking, if a person makes a mistake in his choices in regards to advancement of his soul, upper forces never point you to a correct choice, but they give an opportunity, and then you are the one who makes a choice whether to advance correctly or not.
Есть вопросы, есть вопросы.
We have questions. We have more questions. Since I started studying Kabbalah, I feel myself as a fly in ember, stuck in ember. All I do is life has become a certain type of waiting period. Rav, what do you mean like a fly in ember, stuck in ember? You have the internet. You can constantly be together with us on our meetings, on our lessons. You can download our archives. You can do whatever you want. We did so much for you. You can constantly read and learn, listen to our songs, anything. Why do you feel like a fly in ember? Every time when you listen, when you get something from us, it adds to your advancement. So you're not in a stuck, frozen state. But the fact that you want more than that is good.
Непрестанно сталкиваешься с вопросом, почему Творец со мной так поступил?
I constantly have this question: why did the Creator do this with me? Why did something that I have not desired occur with me? Rav, how do you know that this is undesired? Maybe this is the most desired thing that occurred with you.
Как чувствовать себя счастливым?
These are constant questions that we have.
Неущемленным.
How to feel myself happy and not ostracized? Rav, first of all, relax. Whatever the Creator gives you and wants from you, just give yourself to this flow. Whatever He does, let Him do it. Less of these external actions. Let all your actions be internal. Move yourself forward. Open yourself up for the friends, for the Creator. And that's it.
Сообщество «Спроси каббалиста». Вопрос, почему именно мы избраны для
Question:
науки?
why we are the ones that were chosen for Kabbalah and not others? Rav, because your souls have ripened. You're the worst. You're the most egoistic ones. And that's why you have ripened to enter Kabbalah. Why specifically we are the chosen ones? Another question. Does the Creator have a soul? Does He feel anything? Rav, the Creator does not have a soul, so let's not even talk about it, that He's similar to a person in His feelings. A Creator is a quality of bestowal that fills the whole world. Quality of bestowal. Hence, let's not make it similar to a person as if there's a body that's filled with this quality. Creator is a quality itself, a quality of bestowal and love. We are created with a desire so that out of ourselves we can make a quality similar to the Creator of love and bestowal. Question: are there spirits, demons, angels, poltergeists? This depends on how much you drink. This is an answer of a Kabbalist. Man, understand me, I can see. There are no witches, warlords, warlocks, demons, devils, satans. There are, by the way, a lot of, in Kabbalah, actually, a lot of names to all of these forces, the good and evil, so-called altruistic and egoistic. But all of them are inside of a person. It doesn't mean that we need to exercise these demons. It doesn't mean that we need to do that. Don't imagine them. They don't exist. Even though a person almost wants to imagine these things, it doesn't exist. Unfortunately, they don't exist. Kabbalah is a very boring method. You want to change yourself, change your ego. That's it. Yesterday your ego was minus 20, and today it's minus 10, which means you have exercised a certain demon. Right?
Вот это именно в Каббале сатана — это слово листон.
Satan in Kabbalah is from the word lisnot. Satan is translated as somebody who hates. Somebody who hates. I can see a woman there who knows what I'm talking about. She's smiling.
Василий из Тюмени.
Okay.
Вопрос такой: где, в каком месте находятся неисправленные души людей после смерти тела?
Where and which place do uncorrected souls dwell after the body dies? Now and always they are inside of the desire that has acquired a similar to them quality. What does the body mean? What body? Our earthly body, when it dies, well, we begin to feel our greater spiritual state, yes, but not because our body dies. It's because
эгоистическое
What
желание.
disappears is a particular egoistic desire.
Антон Савельев спрашивает, а преступник может быть
Question.
духовным человеком? Вор?
Can a criminal be a spiritual person, a thief, for example? Rav, no. A thief,
Духовный человек своровать
a spiritual
не сможет.
person
Это
cannot
может быть какое-то
steal.
действие, которое мы,
It could be a certain action that we perhaps can determine as thievery,
но на самом деле это действие, которое служит
but
какой-то высшей
in
цели.
reality it's an action that serves a higher purpose.
Выглядеть в
Maybe it will look in the eyes of others as stealing or evil, but
Женя из Познани
no,
спрашивает,
it cannot be.
физический жрец, как Билам, равный
Was
Моше,
question,
их
was there ever a
духовных сил?
Да ничего этого не было. Абсолютно ничего.
certain character in the
Поймите,
Torah?
Тора говорит только о
Please
духовном
understand,
пути
Torah
человека.
talks about only the spiritual path of a person, spiritual ascent, nothing else.
То есть, как я из вот этого хаоса, да, своего эгоистического
So
желания
how
прихожу к
I, from my egoistic desire, come to this advancement towards the Creator. All of these stages are described in Torah. So then who's this Bilan, a certain name of a certain character?
говорится.
Bilan is a character that's similar to Moshe, to Moses. Rav, it's the opposite side of Moshe, of Moses. It's an opposite side. In order to attain the degree of Moses, you first need to be on this opposite degree called Bilan.
Не может быть одно без другого.
He's necessary, just like Moses. One cannot exist without the other, just like the Pharaoh is an opposite side of the Creator. He's equal in force to the Creator, but opposite, negative, and not positive.
Ариапад. Есть ли особые избранные души и
Question.
чувствуют ли они свою
Are
исключительность?
there certain chosen souls who feel their uniqueness?
Но опять-таки,
Rav, perhaps, but once again,
исключительность чувствует каждый человек. Потому что каждый
each
человек
person feels themselves unique because each person has a unique soul. No other person has a soul like this person. Uniqueness is checked by realization. Through realization, one needs to prepare himself to spiritual realization, to participate in it, to initiate it.
Лариса из Минска. Вы говорите,
Question.
что
You say
если я
that
развью шестое чувство, то есть душу,
if I develop this sixth sense, the soul, during this life, then will I be able to choose a different body and live more lives in this earth? Rav, but is it worth it? When you'll acquire a soul, then you'll decide what's for your benefit or not. And you'll be able to realize it. I promise this. But in order for you to return into the same body that you were in, I don't think that you'll do it, but you could return in order to help other people to
Все-таки Женя из Познани, он не
attain correction.
Раби Шимон, автор книги Зоар, был и
Question.
физический.
Rabbi Shimon, after the book of Zohar, was a spiritual as a historical character, but Bilan was not a spiritual character. Rav, I'm not saying that they weren't.
все персонажи, они были.
All these characters, they existed. Pharaoh and Bilan and Balak and Moses and so on and so forth.
Играли духовные
But you need to understand, that they had
каждый из них.
certain spiritual roles. Each one of them had a role, which is why each one of them has represented a certain spiritual quality. Bilan represented a certain opposite spiritual quality to Moses.
Корень ветви.
Rav, there needs to be a connection between the root and the branch, at least once. But Kabbalah deals only with roots. Rav, what business do I have with Bilan and Moses? If this is a story, what interests me is advance on this ladder of degrees and come through all these states.
у меня не покидает ощущение, что моя душа попала на землю случайно, по
Question.
какой-то ошибке.
I feel like my soul came to this life by accident. Rav, there are no accidents. If you are on this earth, in this state, then you have an opportunity to realize yourself and come to an upper state. Use this. This is the most important thing. Why you're here does not matter. But for what is to is to decide and finalize. A soul is our egoistic desire that goes through a correction, and as a result of this correction connects with others in a 10, let's say, and there in that 10 we realize our quality of bestowal and love. In relation to this quality of love and bestowal that we develop in the group, the light is enclosed in this group, and then the relation of the Creator occurs, and we enter this world of perfection and eternality. And I hope this will be realized within us in the near future. Good day.